Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to put Elden Ring to the test on the Ally. I'm running the latest BIOS version at the time of recording, which is version 319. All the footage has been captured with an external capture card, so that we aren't dedicating any resources into recording. I'm running the Ally at 15 watts using the high preset, and we can see that we're getting around 28 frames per second here. I came to this area since it's easy and has a lot of enemies, so that I can stress the Ally a bit. We can expect to get around 1 hour and 45 minutes of battery life using these settings. And the temperatures will be on the lower side, since we'll be at around 70 degrees. Even though the FPS are on the lower side, we can see that the frame time is pretty consistent, and the game won't stutter. So now I'm moving on to using the Ally's turbo mode, which gives the APU 25 watts of power. So now we're getting around an 18% increase in performance, and we're using barely 66% more power. As a result of this increased power consumption, we can see that the temperatures are 10 degrees higher than before. But the Ally does a good job at cooling the system, and you can barely listen to the fans. With these settings, you should consider yourself lucky if you get an hour of battery life. But the game runs so smooth on turbo mode that it might just make up for the poor battery life. And as you can see in the frame time graph, you won't be getting any stuttering. Now let's move on to the medium preset and switch back to the performance mode, which delivers 15 watts to the APU. On these settings, we're getting roughly an 18% more FPS while using the same power as on the high settings. The performance we gain is basically equivalent to using turbo mode versus performance mode on the high preset. We won't be getting more battery life though, as we will still be getting around an hour and 45 minutes of playtime. Now it's time to power up the Ally and let it send 25 watts to the APU. And well, this is interesting. There really isn't that much of a difference between the 15 watt and 25 watt modes at medium settings. We can see that we are getting roughly a 10% increase in FPS here, but with less battery life and higher temperatures as well. So this might not be the best settings to play at, especially since you'll be sacrificing 45 minutes of battery life for a few FPS. So now we're going to have a look at the low preset in performance mode. And right off the bat, we're getting nearly 40 FPS, which is pretty decent. But there seems to be something wrong. The APU is running at 20 watts, but we shouldn't see a big difference once it gets back down to 15 watts. The performance mode sometimes does these strange things. So yeah, at low settings, we're getting a pretty decent FPS and an hour and a half of battery life. And now with turbo mode on, we're getting roughly the same performance as when we were using the performance mode. Maybe we're hitting a bottleneck here, but as you can see, we aren't really getting more FPS. And we are getting higher temps and lower battery life, which doesn't seem like a good trade-off for getting just like 1 or 2 extra FPS. Because as we can see, we are going to get around an hour of gameplay with these settings, so not that great at all. Alright, I'm going to try to tune the settings a bit so that we can get a better battery life and performance. Pause the video if you need to apply these settings. I'm using the Ally's performance mode here so that the APU is limited to 15 watts and doesn't drain the battery as fast as if we were using the turbo mode. Okay, so with these settings we can see that we're getting pretty much the same FPS as we were hitting with the medium preset, but we have some higher settings and better image quality overall. Battery life didn't improve much though, since as long as you feed 15 watts to the APU, you're always going to be looking at around 1 hour and 45 minutes of gameplay. The temperatures are good, just below 70 degrees, so you won't be listening to the Ally's fans at all. Let's move on to testing my recommended settings at 1080p and enabling turbo mode. So it looks like we're getting roughly the same performance we were getting when using the recommended settings at 720p in performance mode. And as usual, when using the turbo mode, don't expect the battery to last longer than an hour. You should also expect higher temperatures and fan noise too. So that does it for today guys. If you enjoyed this video, I'm pretty sure you're gonna like this other video as well. And as usual, thanks for tuning in and see you guys next time.